Iran launched a new wave of missiles against Israel early on Tuesday, hours after US President Donald Trump claimed talks to end the war were progressing well.
At least 66 people have been killed in a Colombian military plane crash over the remote Amazonian municipality of Puerto Leguizamo.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni conceded defeat Monday in a referendum on judicial reform, but said she would not resign. The European Commission took final steps to provisionally apply the Mercosur trade deal from the 1st of May.
Iran launched a new wave of missiles against Israel early on Tuesday, hours after US President Donald Trump claimed talks to end the war were progressing well, and despite Tehran denying any dialogue had taken place. Israel's military gave 3 warnings of missile launches from Iran, while Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia all reported intercepting strikes. Trump's comments had prompted a positive response from jittery markets, pushed oil prices down, and suspended a deadline he imposed for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz shipping lane or see the U.S., quote, obliterate its power plants. Trump, who extended his deadline by 5 more days, said his administration was speaking with an unidentified, quote, top person. Media reports identified that person as Mohammed Bagher Kalibaf, Iran's Speaker of Parliament. However, Kalibaf said in a social media post that no negotiations were underway. Israel, meanwhile, has continued its aerial attacks on Lebanon early on Tuesday, saying it was targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. At least 2 people were killed in strikes in multiple neighborhoods in Beirut's southern suburbs. Earlier, 3 bodies were pulled from the rubble of a residential building in Tehran, destroyed in an Israeli airstrike, according to the Iranian Red Crescent. The death toll from the war has risen to more than 1,500 people in Iran, over 1,000 people in Lebanon, 15 in Israel, and 13 U.S. military members.
At least 66 people have been killed, dozens have been injured, and 4 are still missing in a military cargo plane crash in southwestern Colombia on Monday. The incident happened over the remote Amazonian municipality of Puerto Leguizamo, which borders Peru and Ecuador. Colombian army officials say the plane experienced problems immediately after takeoff.
De igual manera, hemos enviado un equipo investigador para empezar a determinar cuáles son las causas de este siniestro. En este momento no conocemos detalles, salvo que tan pronto despegó la aeronave, sufrió algún problema y se precipitó a tierra más o menos a un par de kilómetros desde el aeropuerto.
Authorities said the airplane had 128 people on board, including 115 from the army, 11 crew members and 2 from the National Police. Defense Minister Pedro Anulfo Sanchez said that so far there were no signs indicating that the plane was attacked by rebel groups that operate near the area.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni conceded defeat Monday in a referendum on judicial reform, but said she would not resign.
E I cittadini hanno deciso e noi, come sempre, rispettiamo la loro decisione. Resta chiaramente il rammarico per un'occasione persa di modernizzare l'Italia, ma questo non cambia il nostro impegno per continuare con serietà e determinazione a lavorare per il bene della nazione.
Voters rejected the constitutional reform, with around 55% voting no and 45% voting yes, based on nearly all the votes counted. Turnout reached nearly 59%. The reform would have split Italy's judiciary into separate career paths for judges and prosecutors, divided the Superior Council of the Magistracy into 2 bodies, and created a new disciplinary court. Parliament approved the reform in October 2025, but it failed to secure the 2/3 majority needed to avoid a popular vote. The European Commission took final steps to provisionally apply the Mercosur trade deal from the 1st of May, covering Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. The move uses a special procedure to ensure the deal takes effect despite a judicial review launched by the European Parliament after a pivotal vote suspended ratification on the 21st of January. The priority now is turning this EU-Mercosur agreement into concrete outcomes, giving EU exporters the platform they need to seize new opportunities for trade, growth and jobs, EU Trade Commissioner Marcos Sefcovic said, adding provisional application will allow the EU to begin delivering on that promise. The agreement liberalizes trade flows between the EU and Mercosur countries, creating a free trade area of more than 700 million people. The Commission signed off on the deal and secured backing from EU member states, despite strong opposition from EU farmers who fear unfair competition from Mercosur imports.
The trial for the Dembi tragedy has begun in Larissa. The first day was marked by intense protest by the victims' families. The trial was interrupted 4 times. The lawyers requested a suspension of the proceedings until the Greek Supreme Court can rule on the conditions in the hall where the trial was set to begin.
Ήρθαμε εδώ για να δικάσουμε και θα δικάσουμε. Πέρασαν 3 χρόνια χωρίς να είναι κανένας υπεύθυνος στη φυλακή. Από εκεί και πέρα να τελειώσει αυτή η δίκη, να βρεθούν όλοι οι κατηγορούμενοι που θα παρευρεθούν σε αυτή τη δίκη στη φυλακή και από εκεί και πέρα ο καθένας με τους νομικούς του και με τον νομικό δρόμο να προσπαθήσει να κάνει ό,τι αυτός νομίζει είναι καλύτερο για το συγγενή.
Outside the building, hundreds of citizens demonstrated and demanded exemplary punishment for the accused. At the same time, there was tension inside the courtroom. Shame was the slogan that dominated the protest of the relatives of the victims, as the available seats were 120 in the 283 square meter hall. Several of the 250 lawyers taking part in the trial, as well as journalists, were left standing. At one point, the court asked the press representative to leave for reasons of capacity. It has been 3 years since the deadly train accident that claimed the lives of 57 people. The head of the International Energy Agency said Monday that the global economy faces a major threat because of the Iran war. Fatih Birol told Australia's National Press Club in Canberra that the war in the Middle East has severely damaged more than 40 energy assets across 9 countries, as he warned of deepening risks to the global economy.
I think no country will be immune to the effects of this crisis if it continues to go in this direction. So there is a need for global efforts around the world.
He said the crisis in the Middle East has had a worse combined impact than the 2 oil shocks of the 1970s and the effect on gas markets of the Russia-Ukraine war. Oil prices continued to climb as the end of the Iran war was not in sight. The official added that he was consulting with governments in Europe and Asia about the prospect of releasing further stockpiled oil.
Johannes Hahn has resigned from his position as the European Union Special Envoy for Cyprus, the European Commission announced. The former lawmaker cited other commitments as the reason behind his resignation in a letter he sent to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and to the UN. A spokesperson for the European Union was asked about this development during a press briefing in Brussels.
Mr. Hahn has stepped down from his position as Commission Special Envoy due to other concurring commitments. The Commission respects Mr. Hahn's decision and thanks for his valuable contribution to the settlement process over the last year, and the President will decide on the next steps in due course.
Johannes Hahn was appointed to his post in May last year following months of efforts by Nicosia, urging the European Union's substantive involvement in the Cyprus issue.
Das Eis zieht sich zurück, das Gelände und den Lift hat sich einfach stark verändert. Der Hang ist deutlich steiler geworden und deshalb kann der Lift so technisch nicht mehr in Betrieb genommen werden.
Die Gletscherforscher haben ein digitales Geländemodell nochmal erzeugt und sind mit der Drohne über die bayerischen Gletscher generell geflogen. 2025 war das im Herbst und zwischen 2023 und 2025 weisen wir einen enormen Flächenverlust auf, was alle 4 Gletscher betrifft. Aber was den nördlichen Schneeferner betrifft, hat dieser einen Flächenverlust von 30% knapp eingebüßt. Und es ist viel. Es geht immer schneller und es ist vor allem in den letzten 3 Jahren sehr schnell gegangen, weil die letzten 3 Jahre bzw. die letzten 2 Jahre zwischen 2023 und 2025, das waren die wärmsten Jahre seit Beginn der Aufzeichnungen.